Hello, my name is Shana Kroiz and welcome to my studio. I'm very excited to be here today to talk with you about some of my favorite tools. I was asked to select 5 and I'm going to do 5 and 1 bonus tool. Okay, so my very first favorite tool is going to have to be my Orion Series C fusion welder, but most importantly, it's actually the microscope. I live working under this microscope. I find it wildly helpful with everything from finishing to just seeing what I'm doing when I'm doing wax carving, casting, everything. So this is my absolute favorite tool. I use it, of course, with the fusion welder, which I also completely love. I use it for tacking. I use the welder for tacking, for sometimes I actually can, I don't want to say they're not soldered, but I can actually fuse things together so that they're completely stable if it's an area that I can't get into solder. I use it a lot for balling up wire, for just doing some slight finishing work. Sometimes if I have a wonky edge on something that I can't get into finish, if I give it a quick tack, it will actually soften the edges, so I use it for softening edges. Sometimes it even can create a nice rippled effect on the seam of things. So that would be my number 1 favorite tool, and I say that because I use the microscope every day for every piece that I work on, whether I'm filing, sanding, setting stones, working under the flex shaft. I work with the microscope. So that would be my first tool. Okay. My next tool that I would absolutely highly recommend is this miter jig. If you have not ever used a miter jig, they are a phenomenal tool. It's really wonderful if you're ever trying to do any sort of precision work, from making hinges to fabricating boxes or settings for rectangular or square stones, if you need perfect 90-degree angles, because there is both a 45-degree angle miter jig spot and a 90-degree angle miter jig spot. So I absolutely love this tool. I do it whenever I am finishing wire and I need a blunt end. I'll just throw the wire right into, you can be held in larger wire, smaller wire, right into one of these spots, and you follow against it. What's so great about this block is that it is a very hard carbon steel, and I've had this for probably 25 years, since they first came out, and it works great, and it doesn't get fouled, it doesn't get nicked or marred at all with working on it with my other steel tools. So that would be another one of my absolute favorite tools. I highly recommend for everyone's bench.
This series is sponsored by MJSA member Rio Grande. For even more jewelry conversation, be sure to check out Rio Grande's podcast, For the Love of Jewelers. Each month, Rio's cast of expert hosts from Rio Grande's jewelry tech team chat with industry leaders, jewelers, educators, and more as they tell their stories and talk shop. Ideal for anyone interested in jewelry. You'll gain valuable insights, discover new tools and processes, and enjoy a laugh or two along the way. Listen to For the Love of Jewelers podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, or on Rio Grande's website at www.riogrande.com. Search podcasts.
So the next tool is something that I've sort of rigged up. What I'm actually doing here is, this is a very narrow parallel file. If you can find this file, I highly recommend that you purchase several of them. It's really great, and actually let me know if you know where to get them. I bought these many years ago. I brought several, and unfortunately they are flexible, so you do have to be very mindful of how you use them because they can snap. They're about a 0.5 millimeter thick and whatever, a nice width. What I do with this tool is I place it in my jeweler's saw frame, and the reason I do this is so that I don't have breakage. Because if it's in the saw frame, then it's not going to flex. So I use it like I would a saw, but I use it for filing. So for instance, I saw this link in half here, and this space in between I needed to be perfectly flush. So I would come in with my file, I mount it, and then I can sand and I work at it until I get it completely flush. Takes a second to get going just because it sticks a little, but you've done it back and forth a few times. So now I should have a perfect fit for whether you're soldering together. In my case, I just want it to close really tightly so that it looks like a complete form. So I absolutely love this for getting into areas that you need to clean that are wide. You need this flat filing area. This is great, very thin. Love this tool. Don't know where to get it. I wish I could tell you. The next tool that I absolutely love is my Fordham micromotor handpiece. I absolutely love this handpiece. It is, first of all, the flexible handle as opposed to using a handpiece on your flex shaft is much better on my hands and much easier to manipulate. I've also found that I've had a much longer life. I've had this for at least 8 or 9 years. And I use it all the time. I use it for stone setting. I use it for riveting. I use it for upsetting an edge. I use it if I have a casting and I have a little bit of porosity. I will come in and burnish down the porosity. This hammerhead piece comes with many different attachment settings. So for instance, if you have a much wider surface that you want to either planish down or bezel set, you can skip to a wider attachment. This is pretty much the standard one. I use it. You can even texture the ends of these and texture onto your metal. So the way it works is it's basically a mini jackhammer. Fantastic tool. It will change your life. I use it for moving metal, all sorts of ways, bezels, everything. Love this tool. I love these dividers. I particularly like this style with the rounded points as opposed to, they do make a divider that has a square edge to it that are thicker and I think a little bit more cumbersome. So I prefer this nice rounded tool. I think it feels really good in the hands. So I use this. Of course, it's dividers for if I need to do to lay out designs for circles. That's a pretty easy thing. But I also use it to say I want to cut a parallel line. I want to measure a parallel line. So I can just come and scribe a line, and then I know exactly how to cut a parallel strip. I use it a lot for measuring. I often will have 3, 4, or 5 of these going at one time. So for instance, I'm cutting different tubing and I need a 3 millimeter, a 2 millimeter, and a 1 millimeter. I'll have one set to 3, one set to 2, and one set to 3. And then I will use this to mark where I'm going to cut. So there's all sorts of measuring applications that you can use these tools for. They're great scribe. They're very clean. I've found that the points hold up terrific. I don't tend to have to polish the tip. So love this tool. So here's my 6th tool. This is a very simple, small tool. This is the scalpel that is mostly used for wax. I love this tool. I can probably carve most of my pieces in wax with a wax file, a barrel burr, a round burr, and this scalpel. It is great for getting into tight areas. It's great for actually doing a final finish. You can get a really nice polish with it. It's terrific for doing a little bit of carving, a little bit of scraping. I find it's just such a useful tool. The edge is really sharp, and the wonderful thing about it is whenever it gets a little dull, just take it off and replace it. So there's no sharpening involved. Again, as with the dividers, I have many versions of this tool in my life. So there are just a few of my favorite tools, and I could probably keep going on and on. Thank you very much for visiting me in my studio.